skin. At first glance, it seems obvious. It surrounds the body, protects us from the world, gives us hands, legs, and faces. But when we look closer, we discover that it is not just a simple covering. It is a true marvel of nature. It is the largest organ of our body, weighing on average 3 to 4 kilograms and stretching over an area of about 2 square meters, packed with millions of cells that renew, protect, and respond to the environment every day. Skin does more than perceive stimuli. It feels the world in a way no other organ can. Every touch, warmth, cold, pain, tingling sensation, and even the lightest breeze is registered and transmitted to the brain in a fraction of a second. It acts as an interface between us and the environment, a hub of information that simultaneously protects and communicates, often in ways we do not consciously notice. It is not just a physical barrier. Under a microscope, skin resembles a vibrant, living world, full of microorganisms that coexist in symbiosis with our body, supporting immunity, protecting against disease, and forming an ecosystem whose existence largely determines our health. Skin stores the history of our lives. Scars, moles, tattoos, and discolorations tell stories more vivid than many words, while its reactions to stress, emotions, and environmental changes reveal subtle mechanisms connecting body and mind. What makes skin truly fascinating is its adaptability. Human skin varies depending on climate, lifestyle, diet, and genetic history, just as animals have developed extraordinary survival strategies, from sun protection and water storage to generating compounds that defend against toxins and pathogens. Every layer, every receptor, every microscopic cell has its function and story, from evolution to the daily challenges posed by the external world. Skin is therefore more than just body packaging. It is a sensory tool, a record of emotion, a first line of defense, a reflection of health, and even a medium through which we communicate with others. In this exploration, we will dive into its secrets, uncovering the fascinating mechanisms that make skin both sensitive and resilient, biologically intelligent, and capable of extraordinary responses. It is a journey through a world so close and seemingly ordinary, yet full of mysteries and wonders. When we look at skin, we see only the surface, soft, smooth, or wrinkled, sometimes sun-kissed, sometimes pale from the cold. But beneath this apparent simplicity lies a world so complex that scientists are still discovering its secrets. Skin is not a single layer. It is a three-dimensional structure composed of hundreds of millions of cells, microscopic blood vessels, nerve endings, and glands that work in perfect harmony. The outermost layer, the epidermis, acts as a shield. Its primary role is protection against bacteria, viruses, and microorganisms, but the epidermis is also a site of continuous life and death. Cells form in its deeper layers and gradually move toward the surface, becoming a dead protective barrier after about 28 days, which sheds daily. Every flake that falls was once a living cell, composed of proteins, lipids, and enzymes, helping fight microbes and maintain skin hydration. Thanks to this constant renewal, the epidermis is capable of self-cleaning and regeneration, almost like a system of biological self-care. Beneath the epidermis lies the dermis, the true center of skin life. Here exists a dense network of blood vessels that nourish all layers, transport proteins, hormones, and immune cells, enabling the skin to respond to infections and injuries. The dermis also houses nerve endings, mechanoreceptors that allow us to sense touch, pressure, vibration, and pain, and thermoreceptors that inform the brain about environmental temperature. Imagine that every gust of wind, every touch from another person, every warm embrace is immediately registered and interpreted in this layer, even before reaching the brain. Within the dermis are also glands, sweat, sebaceous, and scent glands. Their functions are fascinating. Sweat regulates body temperature, sebum creates a natural protective barrier, and scent glands communicate chemically with other humans, influencing social behaviors, from attracting partners to signaling danger. Scientists have discovered that the odors produced by our skin are as unique as fingerprints and can be interpreted by another person's brain in fractions of a second. affecting emotions and perception. The deepest layer, the subcutaneous tissue, serves as an energy reserve, shock absorber, and thermal insulator. It stores fats that protect internal organs from injury and shape the body depending on diet and age. Subcutaneous tissue also acts as a buffer against sudden impacts. Many injuries that could damage muscles or bones are absorbed by these layers. We must also consider the microscopic marvels, melanocytes that produce pigment protecting against UV radiation, and Langerhans cells, which act as immune sentinels, detecting intruders and signaling immune responses. Collagen and elastin, proteins that give skin its elasticity, resilience, and ability to regenerate after stretching, allow skin to withstand movement, external pressure, and repeated bending of fingers or wrists without damage. Interestingly, the skin constantly communicates with the brain, the immune system, and hormones. Stress responses, sweating, blushing, goosebumps, result from lightning-fast neural and chemical impulses running through all layers of the skin. While it may seem that skin only protects, in reality it is also an organ of perception, emotion, and biological intelligence, continuously monitoring the environment and reacting in real time. Skin is therefore like a small universe on the surface of our body, full of cells, microorganisms, nerve networks, and glands working together to sustain life, health, and interaction with the world. It separates us from the environment while constantly cooperating with it. To the naked eye, we see only the surface, but every touch, impulse, and reaction testifies to its incredible complexity and biological intelligence. Skin not only protects the body, but also mirrors emotions. Every emotional reaction, joy, fear, shame, excitement, leaves a mark, sometimes subtle, sometimes dramatic. Imagine your heart racing, your breath quickening, and goosebumps rising on your neck. This is not accidental. It is the response of the nervous system sending impulses to the skin, activating erector pili muscles and sweat glands. This automatic evolutionary response once increased survival chances. In animals, goosebumps puffed up fur for insulation or made them appear larger to predators. In humans, it is an emotional signal. Subtle, often invisible to others, but detectable by ourselves and loved ones. Blushing is another example of how skin communicates emotions. When embarrassed or stressed, tiny blood vessels in the face dilate under the influence of stress hormones and adrenaline. The effect is immediate. The face turns red, sending a clear social signal. I am nervous, or I feel uncomfortable. Scientists have found that in some cultures, blushing is such a strong emotional cue that its absence can be interpreted as deceit or hidden feelings. Sweating is yet another fascinating way skin responds to emotions. Sweat glands activate not only during physical exertion, but also in stressful, anxious, or exciting situations. Moist skin on the hands or forehead may seem minor, but it is part of a larger biological system preparing the body for action, fight or flight. Whether during a stressful exam or a first meeting with someone special, the body reacts instantly, and the skin becomes the most tangible witness to these emotions. Goosebumps, blushing, sweating, but that's not all. Skin also participates in subtle social and emotional signaling. Every touch, handshake, hug, or pat on the back is detected by numerous mechanoreceptors, which send signals to the brain, generating feelings of security, closeness, or comfort. Studies on affective touch show that these signals activate brain regions associated with pleasure and empathy. Skin is not only a receiver of emotions, but also a generator. Skin also serves as emotional memory. Some responses are encoded at the cellular level. Chronic stress, trauma, or extreme experiences can alter how skin reacts to stimuli in the future. This may explain why some people experience chills, goosebumps, or itching in certain situations. The body remembers emotions and prepares before the mind consciously interprets them. Remarkably, skin can react to the emotions of others. Studies show that physical contact with a stressed or frightened person can trigger subtle changes in our nervous system, microtremors, increased sweating, or mild muscle tension. Skin becomes a channel of nonverbal communication, allowing us to sense others' emotions before a single word is spoken. Skin and emotions are inseparable. Every smile, fear, anger, or joy is reflected biologically in the skin, creating a dynamic bridge between the inner self and the external world. It turns emotional life into something tangible, making the body an interactive map of feelings. Skin is not merely a barrier or covering. It is a biological screen that shows, senses, and communicates everything we feel, sometimes before we even name it. Skin is more than a body covering. It is a vibrant, microscopic world, filled with creatures so small they are visible only under a microscope. Yet their impact on our health, immunity, and well-being is immense. Every square centimeter hosts millions of bacteria, fungi, and viruses, forming complex communities that symbiotically support our body. Skin is like a city. Each species has its district, role, and method of communication with neighbors. Some microbes protect us from pathogens. Imagine natural guardians on your skin. Bacteria competing with harmful viruses and fungi, producing antibacterial and anti-inflammatory compounds. Some species secrete acids that hinder intruders, acting as a biological patrol, constantly monitoring and responding to threats. The skin microbiome is dynamic and adaptive. Depending on climate, diet, hygiene, and even mood, microbial communities change. Studies show stress can influence the microbiome, which in turn can modulate immune responses in the skin. This is two-way communication. Our emotional state affects microbes, and microbes influence skin condition and, indirectly, well-being. Fascinatingly, the microorganisms on our skin are unique to each individual, like fingerprints. Scientists have found that the profile of bacteria and fungi can be used to identify a person with remarkable accuracy, an invisible biological signature we always carry. Some microbes also contribute to body scent production. They give our skin a unique aroma, influencing social behavior, attracting partners, or sending warning signals. In a sense, microbes co-create our biological personality, an invisible signature communicating something about us to the outside world. Skin is also a site of fascinating scientific experimentation. Researchers study how altering the microbiome can help treat skin conditions, from acne to eczema, and how microbes can modulate inflammation and aging. Probiotic creams are being developed that not only moisturize but also support the skin's natural ecosystem, helping maintain biological balance. We must also consider viruses and fungi living on the skin, sometimes in symbiosis, sometimes in conflict with our body. Some are harmless, others can cause infections under certain conditions, but most remain invisible, cooperating with billions of other microorganisms. The skin microbiome shows that even something seemingly ordinary like skin is in reality an extraordinary, complex ecosystem where every element has a role. Cooperation and competition among microbes determine overall health and immunity, and we unknowingly interact with these invisible inhabitants. From a microscopic perspective, skin is not just a protective barrier, but a city of life where millions of organisms work for our survival. Regulate immunity, influence emotions, and transmit information subtly yet critically. Skin is not merely a covering. It is a biological interface that co-creates life on every level, from the microcosm to our sensory and emotional experiences. Skin is like a diary of life. Every smile, wrinkle, and blemish records the experiences we collect over the years. Skin aging is a natural process, resulting from the combination of genetics, cellular biology, and environmental factors. What happens in our skin is simultaneously a result of internal mechanisms and the influence of the external world: sunlight, pollution, diet, stress, and lifestyle. A central element of skin aging is the decrease in collagen and elastin, proteins responsible for elasticity, firmness, and the skin's regenerative ability. Over time, these fibers degrade, and skin cells renew more slowly. The result is wrinkles, loss of elasticity, and a thinner, more sensitive covering. But age is not the only factor. UV radiation gradually destroys collagen, accelerating aging and causing pigmentation changes. This is called photoaging. and scientists estimate that up to 80% of visible facial aging is due to sun exposure. Equally important are the effects of stress and lifestyle. Chronic stress increases cortisol secretion, which disrupts skin balance and weakens its protective barrier. Smoking, poor diet, lack of sleep all accelerate aging, causing loss of firmness, dull skin, and increased susceptibility to infections. Skin then becomes more transparent to environmental influences, leaving permanent marks from external factors. Pollution and environmental toxins also play a significant role. Particles from heavy metals, dust, and smog settle on the skin surface, triggering inflammatory reactions and oxidative stress that damage cells and collagen fibers. In highly polluted areas, aging can occur faster, and skin regeneration becomes more difficult. Surprisingly, even the skin microbiome changes in response to the environment. Bacteria and fungi adapt to new conditions, and these changes can accelerate or delay aging. Skin, however, possesses remarkable regenerative and adaptive mechanisms. Wounds heal thanks to stem cells in the epidermis and dermis, which can rebuild damaged tissue. Even after intense UV exposure or minor mechanical damage, the skin can restore its protective barrier, although this process slows with age. An intriguing phenomenon is skin memory. Cells exposed to previous stress or injury may respond more rapidly to similar stimuli in the future, as if storing a history of earlier experiences. Interestingly, different parts of the body age at different rates. Skin on the hands, face, and neck is more exposed to UV rays and temperature fluctuations, losing firmness faster, while skin on the back or buttocks remains elastic and thicker much longer. Additionally, genetics can allow some people to maintain firm skin even in later life, whereas minor early damage can accelerate aging in others. Skin aging is not only negative. Every line, spot, or scar is a record of life, emotions, adventures, and experiences. Skin continuously tells the story of our body, while simultaneously protecting us from the outside world. Understanding the mechanisms of skin aging and adaptation helps us care for its health, choose the right sun protection, maintain proper diet and sleep, and fully appreciate the extraordinary nature of this organ. Thus, skin is not only a mirror of time, but also a living, biological record of the body's interactions with the environment, emotions, and surroundings. Every day, every decision, and every stimulus leaves a mark, which, combined with microbes, receptors, and cells, creates an intricate network, a covering that continuously protects, senses, and responds to the world around us. Humans have long been fascinated by skin, not only as a biological organ, but also as inspiration for science and technology. It led to the first concepts of artificial protective coatings, prosthetics, and tactile sensors. Today, thanks to modern engineering, biotechnology, and regenerative medicine, we can not only treat skin but attempt to replace or enhance it in ways unimaginable just decades ago. One of the most spectacular achievements is artificial skin, made from flexible, electrically conductive materials that respond to touch. Such coatings are used in robotics and prosthetics, allowing robots to feel objects and amputees to experience touch and pressure in a way close to natural sensation. Some experimental models can even sense temperature and humidity, with signals transmitted to the human nervous system for nearly instant response. A revolution in rehabilitative medicine. In classical medicine, skin transplants have also evolved tremendously. From simple grafts using small sections of the patient's own skin to advanced procedures employing stem cell cultures that can reconstruct large areas of damaged tissue. In some experiments, scientists have been able to create entire layers of epidermis and dermis in the lab and transplant them to patients after burns or severe injuries. This restores not only protective function but also the ability to perceive stimuli and respond to the external world. Equally fascinating are biotechnological innovations in cosmetology. Researchers are developing creams and serums that not only moisturize but also modulate the microbiome, support collagen and elastin regeneration, and even respond to environmental factors in real time. Imagine a cream that automatically strengthens the skin barrier when you step into the sun or as humidity changes. This is no longer science fiction. but real research in smart skin care. Artificial skin and modern prosthetics also serve as a bridge between nature and technology. Engineers draw inspiration from natural properties of animal skin, regenerative abilities of lizards, elasticity of elephant skin or waterproofing of amphibians to create hybrid materials combining flexibility, durability, and sensory responsiveness. Science thus seeks to imitate nature while simultaneously surpassing its limits. Interactive experiments also show how skin could become a tool of the future. Researchers are testing coatings that change color in response to emotions or temperature, flexible sensors measuring blood pressure and hydration in real time, and even bioelectronic implants that communicate with mobile devices, providing alerts or monitoring health. Skin, once merely a protective barrier, is becoming a laboratory of life and technology, a biological organ and inspiration for engineering, medicine, and art. It is a place where nature meets humanity, and science allows us to surpass biological limits, from repairing damage to creating new functions once confined to science fiction. Viewed this way, we understand that skin's significance goes far beyond protecting the body. It is an organ that can teach, inspire, and connect us with technology in ways that reshape our understanding of what it means to be human. Skin becomes both a boundary and a bridge, protecting, communicating, sensing, and simultaneously serving as a platform for exploring the future. Skin color is not random. It is the result of millions of years of evolution, human adaptation to the environment, sunlight, and biological needs. Skin ranges from pale alabaster to deep chocolate, each shade carrying a history of adaptation and survival. The primary determinant of skin color is melanin, a pigment produced by melanocytes in the dermis and epidermis. Melanin acts as a natural UV filter, protecting cellular DNA from damage. People with darker skin have more melanin, reducing the risk of burns and cellular damage, and providing protection against skin cancer. Conversely, high melanin levels make vitamin D synthesis less efficient in low sunlight conditions, which is why lighter skin populations evolved in northern regions to produce vitamin D efficiently, supporting bone health and overall physiological function. Light skin has pros and cons. It allows more vitamin D synthesis from brief sun exposure, crucial in northern latitudes, but is more prone to sunburn and faster photoaging. Hence, lighter-skinned individuals often need additional sun protection, creams with SPF, and avoidance of peak sun hours. Darker skin, by contrast, is more resistant to UV radiation and ages more slowly under sun exposure, but synthesizes vitamin D less efficiently in low light, potentially leading to deficiencies, weaker bones, and metabolic issues. This is an evolutionary compromise. Each skin tone carries both benefits and limitations shaped by ancestral environment, climate, and lifestyle. Interestingly, skin color differences also influence emotional and social health. Studies show sunlight exposure affects endorphin and serotonin production, the happiness hormones, and people with different skin tones may respond subtly differently to sunlight. Skin, as both a protective barrier and sensory organ, thus serves as a tool of biological and social adaptation. Finally, pigmentation played a role in human survival strategies. In tropical regions, darker skin protected against intense sun, allowing longer outdoor activity and agriculture without harmful burns. In northern regions, lighter skin enabled vitamin D synthesis during short days, supporting bone health and immunity. Each skin tone is therefore a record of the ecological conditions experienced by our ancestors. Interestingly, skin is not uniform, even on a single person. Different parts of the body can have slightly different shades depending on sun exposure, epidermal thickness, the density of blood vessels, and the local microbiome. It is a dynamic system that responds to the environment, lifestyle, diet, hormones, and emotions, demonstrating that skin color is shaped not only by genetics, but also by everyday interactions with the world around us. Skin is therefore not just a protective tool or a sensory organ. It is a story of evolution, adaptation, and human survival strategies. Every hue carries the history of millions of years, compromises between protection and the need for vitamin D, reactions to sunlight, climate, and environment. Skin color is both a gift of nature and a mirror of life's history, unique, evolving, and fascinating in every detail. Skin is our first and most important guardian, shielding us from bacteria, viruses, toxins, radiation, and temperature extremes. It is resilient, elastic, and incredibly complex, yet there are situations where its defenses can be overwhelmed. One of the most dramatic examples is burns from boiling water or fire, which can literally destroy layers of skin, damaging both the epidermis and the dermis. When skin comes into contact with boiling water, the heat almost instantly denatures cellular proteins. Collagen, elastin, enzymes, and membrane structures lose their properties, and cells undergo necrosis. What we see on the surface, redness, blisters, peeling skin, is only the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface, chemical reactions occur, cells release alarm signals, sweat glands and blood vessels are damaged, and microcirculation becomes unstable. The brain interprets pain signals as warnings, an evolutionary mechanism that protected our ancestors from further injury. Skin can regenerate, but in the case of deep burns, this process is severely limited. Stem cells in the epidermis and dermis are often destroyed, and collagen fibers that provide elasticity and structure break down. The body attempts to replace damaged tissue with new skin, but instead of a perfect uniform layer, a scar, fibrous tissue, forms, which has a different structure and color than the surrounding healthy skin. This is why skin after a deep burn often appears blurred, uneven, and differs in texture and tone from the rest of the body. Scars form due to excessive collagen production in response to injury. The body attempts to quickly fill the gap, but collagen fibers align chaotically rather than in the regular network found in healthy skin. Additionally, blood vessels and nerve endings in scar tissue are deformed or partially destroyed, making the skin less elastic and often less sensitive to touch or temperature. This is why scars can feel harder, warmer, or cooler than surrounding skin, and may respond differently to stimuli. Not all injuries are so severe. Skin also reacts to minor wounds or infections in highly complex ways. Langerhans cells in the epidermis detect microorganisms, activating immune responses. Macrophages and neutrophils migrate to the injury site, clearing debris and preparing tissue for regeneration. Blood vessels dilate, and glands and fibroblasts release growth factors that support tissue repair. In minor injuries, this process works nearly perfectly, allowing skin to quickly regain its properties. Interestingly, in cases of chronic injuries or inflammation, the skin microbiome also plays a role. Protective bacteria can aid healing, and some strains stimulate cells to regenerate faster. Conversely, the presence of pathogens or an imbalanced microbiome can slow recovery, leading to scar formation or chronic wounds. Skin after burns or deep trauma is thus a testament to the dramatic battle between biology and extreme conditions. It is an organ that has protected the body, sent alarm signals to the brain, attempted to combat damage and rebuild its surface. Yet sometimes its regenerative limits are exceeded. The appearance of burned or damaged skin, blurred, uneven, distorted, is a tangible record of struggle, survival, and injury history. This demonstrates that, while skin is elastic, intelligent, and biologically complex, its capacities have limits, and deep injuries leave marks that challenge medicine and bear witness to the extraordinary complexity of our largest organ. Skin is not only a protective covering, it is a screen on which the body displays its secrets. When something goes wrong inside, the skin often sends the first warning signals: rashes, discoloration, dryness, itching, or changes in texture. These are the body's language communicating with the world. Sometimes skin surprises even the most experienced physicians. One of the most fascinating phenomena is that many internal diseases manifest on the skin. Liver disease can cause jaundice, thyroid disorders alter skin texture, and autoimmune diseases, like lupus, produce the characteristic butterfly rash across the face. This is why dermatology has always been a bridge between the external and internal world. Doctors could deduce internal conditions just by observing skin appearance. A historically remarkable example is syphilis, once called the Great Imitator. This infection deceived physicians for centuries, mimicking dozens of other skin conditions, from rashes to ulcers and discoloration. Only in the 20th century was it discovered that the culprit was the bacterium Treponema pallidum, and effective antibiotic therapy saved countless lives. Other skin disorders continue to amaze. Psoriasis, marked by excessive keratinization and flaking, is an autoimmune disease where the body accelerates skin cell turnover almost tenfold. Instead of the usual 28-day cycle, epidermal cells mature and die in 3 to 4 days. This results in thickened patches, scales, and inflammation. Interestingly, studies show that emotional stress can trigger or exacerbate symptoms, highlighting that skin reacts not only to physical but also psychological. Stimuli. Albinism, a lack or deficiency of melanin, illustrates how a small genetic mutation can completely alter the skin's response to sunlight. Individuals with albinism have very fair skin, hair, and eyes, and their skin is almost devoid of natural UV protection. For them, sunlight, a source of energy, and vitamin D for others can be hazardous. Their delicate, semi-transparent skin reminds us that evolution is a constant balance between protection and adaptation. One of the most poignant examples of a skin disease is epidermolysis bullosa, known as butterfly skin disease. The skin of affected individuals is so fragile that even slight touch can cause blisters and wounds. They lack proteins that normally bind layers of the epidermis and dermis. This condition shows how fragile the human body can be and how crucial the skin structure is, which most of us take for granted. Some phenomena are almost inexplicable. Dermographism, or skin writing, occurs when even light pressure produces a red, raised line, as if the body is writing messages. Others experience allergic reactions triggered by water, aquagenic urticaria, or light, photodermatitis. In such cases, skin becomes an extreme sensor, overreacting to stimuli, as if the boundary between the external and internal world is too thin. One of the most alarming phenomena is skin cancer, which often develops silently over years. Melanoma forms when melanocytes divide uncontrollably. Although skin is visible, skin cancers are sometimes detected too late because a small spot or mole seems trivial. This reminds us that even the most visible organ can hide serious threats. Remarkably, skin can remember injuries and stress, a phenomenon called immunological memory. If it has previously encountered a toxin, allergen, or UV radiation, it reacts faster and more intensely upon re-exposure. This explains why sunburns can eventually lead to permanent pigmentation changes and even DNA damage. Skin is thus not just a backdrop to our lives, but an active participant in survival. It protects, warns, reacts, and remembers. Diseases and injuries reveal that beneath its apparent simplicity lies one of the most complex biological systems, integrating neurology, immunology, and biochemistry. Every pimple, scar, mole, or discoloration is no accident. It is a record of the body's history, its battles, adaptations, and reactions. Skin does not remain silent. It speaks, shouts, sometimes begs for attention. And if we learn to read its language, we can understand far more than what the mirror shows. At first glance, skin is just skin. But a closer look reveals that every person carries a unique microcosm on their body. Oily, dry, combination, sensitive, normal. These terms sound like cosmetic labels, but in reality they describe complex differences in structure, function, and chemistry. They are shaped by genes, hormones, the microbiome, lifestyle, and even the climate in which we were raised. For some, the skin almost gleams, thanks to sebaceous glands working at full capacity. They produce sebum, a mixture of fats that protects the epidermis from drying out. Contrary to appearances, oily skin is fairly resilient. It ages more slowly and develops wrinkles later because the natural layer of oil acts like a protective cream. But it has a price. Pores clog easily, and bacteria living in hair follicles, mainly Cutibacterium acnes, can use excess sebum as nourishment. This can lead to inflammation, blackheads, and pimples. Acne is not dirty skin, but a microscopic battle between bacteria, hormones, and immune responses. Dry skin, on the other hand, is the opposite. It produces too few lipids to retain water in the epidermis. It is thin, delicate, often flaky, and ages faster. Lacking the natural oily shield, it reacts quickly to wind, cold, sun, and detergents. But it has advantages. It is less prone to acne and inflammation. Many people with dry skin also have genetically weaker hydrolipid barriers. Proteins like filaggrin, which bind cells together, work less efficiently. As a result, dry skin behaves like a leaky wall, allowing water to escape more easily. Between these extremes is combination skin, capricious and unpredictable. The forehead and nose may shine like glass, while the cheeks remain as dry as a desert. This results from the uneven distribution of sebaceous glands and blood vessels. That's why some areas develop pimples, while others show wrinkles. The most desired but rare type is normal skin, balanced, elastic, without excess sebum or dryness. It is usually found in children and diminishes with age. Adult life, stress, hormones, diet, and UV exposure disrupt this delicate balance. There is also sensitive skin, which reacts to temperature, cosmetics, stress, or even emotions. Many people experience redness, itching, or tightness, as if the protective barrier is too thin to shield against the outside world. This often results from overactive nerve endings and an imbalanced microbiome. Too little bacterial diversity to protect the skin from inflammation. Each skin type has its pros and cons. Oily skin ages more slowly but clogs faster. Dry skin looks smooth but shows signs of aging sooner. Combination skin is the trickiest, combining both problems. And sensitive skin requires gentleness and care. Interestingly, skin condition is heavily influenced by sleep, diet, and stress. Sleep deprivation raises cortisol, stimulating sebaceous glands, while a lack of dietary fatty acids reduces elasticity, making skin crack like dry soil. With age, all skin types change. The skin thins, loses collagen, and its regenerative capacity declines. In postmenopausal women, estrogen levels drop, causing dryness and loss of firmness. In men, sebum production decreases, reducing natural lipid protection. Over time, skin, regardless of type, tells the story of life, stress, sun exposure, sleepless nights, and emotions. Research shows that each skin type has a unique microbiome, a community of bacteria, fungi, and viruses working together to maintain balance. Oily skin has more Cutibacterium, dry skin more Staphylococcus epidermidis, and sensitive skin often loses microbial diversity. It is like an ecosystem. When balance is disrupted, disease and inflammation arise. All this demonstrates that skin is not static. It is a living, changing organ that responds to every emotion, season, stressor, and touch. There is no single, perfect skin. Only skin trying to survive in the conditions we create. Whether it shines, cracks, or radiates health depends not only on genes and cosmetics, but on how we treat the body as a whole. When a child is born, their skin is one of the first organs that must rapidly adapt to an entirely new environment. Within seconds, it leaves the warm, moist world of the womb and enters a reality full of air, bacteria, cold, and touch. This sudden transition is aided by something remarkable: a thin, creamy layer called vernix caseosa. Often overlooked, this vernix is actually one of nature's most brilliant inventions. Composed mainly of fats, about 80%, proteins, skin cells, and natural antioxidants, it forms at the end of pregnancy and coats the newborn like a delicate armor. In the womb, it protects against amniotic fluid, which could otherwise dry or irritate the skin. After birth, it continues to serve as a natural moisturizer, helps prevent heat loss, and supports colonization of the skin by beneficial bacteria. Vernix functions as a biological protective film, containing antimicrobial substances such as lysozyme and lactoferrin, which inhibit pathogenic bacteria while allowing beneficial microbes to settle and build the microbiome. That's why more doctors and midwives now advise against immediately washing newborns. The skin needs time for this natural barrier to absorb and learn the world. Newborn skin is extremely thin and delicate, about 5 times thinner than adult skin. Epidermal cells are loosely connected, and the lipid barrier is still developing. This makes water loss easy, temperature regulation tricky, and substances that are harmless to adults can penetrate more readily. That's why baby skin is delicate, pink, sometimes translucent. Blood vessels and muscles can be seen through it, and every touch triggers a full body response. In the first weeks of life, something extraordinary occurs: intense skin remodeling. Cells produce more ceramides and lipids, strengthening the hydrolipid barrier. Sebaceous glands, still active under the influence of maternal hormones, help prevent dryness. After a few weeks, their activity decreases, and the skin becomes drier and more sensitive, a natural stage of adaptation. One of the most fascinating aspects of infant skin is its regenerative capacity. Babies and young children heal faster than adults, and scars are rare. This is because inflammation in infant skin is milder, and fibroblasts, cells responsible for collagen production, work more efficiently and harmoniously. Instead of forming a scar in haste, like in adults, infant skin often restores the original tissue structure. This is why injuries in infants can vanish almost without a trace, and even surgical incisions heal more rapidly. Scientists study this phenomenon in hopes of developing therapies that restore childlike regeneration in adults, a dream that could one day revolutionize treatment of scars and burns. A curious fact is the scent of a newborn's skin, that delicate, sweet aroma, which acts as an emotional magnet for adults. Research shows it is not accidental. Baby skin secretes specific pheromones that activate reward and attachment centers in parents' brains. It is nature's biological way of strengthening bonds, an invisible language between the child's and adult's bodies. All of this shows that baby skin is not merely a miniature version of adult skin. It is an organ in evolution, undergoing a transformation in weeks that would take other organisms years. From a being living in the watery, sterile womb, to an organism that must defend itself from air, bacteria, and light. Vernix gaseosa, this white coating, is nature's first gift, helping the newborn survive this transition. A biological safety cloak that says, "Welcome to the surface. Now breathe, feel, and grow." Skin is like a chronicle of life. Every day, every emotion, every touch leaves its mark. Sometimes invisible, sometimes etched like a sculpture. At birth, it is delicate as silk, semi-transparent, pulsating with the warmth of new life. In youth, it is smooth, elastic, full of collagen and water. And then, over the years, a slow, inevitable transformation begins. Subtle, yet irreversible. Skin ages with us, reflecting every choice, every stress, every moment spent in the sun or with too little sleep. Early in life, skin is a miracle of regeneration. It can heal almost perfectly, with cells dividing at lightning speed. In childhood, the epidermis is thin and soft, while collagen and elastin fibers form a dense, springy network. Children's skin is a master of elasticity. It stretches and grows with the body without losing firmness. But during adolescence, hormones come into play. Sebaceous glands activate, acne appears, and skin reacts to emotions, stress, and biological changes. This is the time when the body learns self-regulation, and the skin microbiome undergoes a revolution, forming the final balance that will protect us for decades. In adulthood, skin reaches its peak. It has a full protective barrier, stable water and lipid content, and collagen and elastin work like a natural spring system. Yet this is also when slow wear begins. UV radiation, oxidative stress, lack of sleep, pollution, all act as microscopic blows to its structure. Skin cells divide more slowly. Mitochondria, the cell's powerhouses, lose efficiency, and free radicals damage DNA. Aging is like quiet sabotage. It does not happen suddenly, but continues, day by day. Around age 30, collagen production begins to decline, about 1% per year. Skin loses firmness, facial contours become less defined, and in areas of frequent expression, around the eyes, mouth, and forehead, the first wrinkles appear. This is not a sign of weakness, but a biological record of life. Each wrinkle is a trace of a smile, worry, or concentration. Interestingly, people who laugh often have different wrinkle patterns than those who live in tension. Emotions truly shape our faces. In middle age, skin color and texture also change. Melanocytes, the pigment-producing cells, become uneven, leading to age spots and discoloration. Blood vessels become more fragile, making bruising or redness more likely. Sweat and sebaceous glands function less efficiently, causing dryness and reduced resilience. In postmenopausal women, estrogen decline triggers sudden dryness and loss of elasticity. Hormones that protected collagen for decades vanish, revealing the true effects of time. In old age, skin resembles a map, full of lines, shadows, and memories. It becomes thinner, delicate as paper, with blood vessels visible beneath, and healing takes longer. Yet within this fragility lies extraordinary biological wisdom. Skin still protects, senses, and responds to emotions and temperature, even if its strength is limited. Sensitivity to touch, warmth, closeness never disappears. That is why the touch of a hand, a grandchild's kiss, or a sunbeam can still elicit as strong an emotional reaction in an elderly person as in a child. Recent research shows that skin aging is not just the passage of time. It is a play of genes and environment, lifestyle, and microbiome. People living in clean air, sleeping regularly, eating healthily age more slowly. Their cells retain youth longer, and their skin microbiome remains stable. Moreover, some bacteria living on our skin can protect against free radicals, and some even communicate with immune cells, delaying inflammation. Some scientists say skin aging is not a disease, but an evolutionary program, nature's way of showing the story of our lives. Skin becomes not just an organ, but a chronicle. It tells the tale of genes, environment, emotions, stress, and love. It is the truest record of who we are. As humans age, skin does not disappear. It merely changes its language. Instead of youthful glow appears the softness of experience. Instead of smoothness, the texture of memory. And although wrinkles remind us of time, paradoxically, they make the face more human. After all, it is not perfection, but history that gives it meaning. Skin is like a journal of our life, recording every sleepless night, every stress, every unprotected sun exposure. Few realize how much it also reacts to what we consume, inhale, and introduce into our bodies. What the brain experiences as pleasure often becomes a silent catastrophe for the skin. Alcohol, nicotine, and coffee, three seemingly innocuous substances, can alter skin structure and biochemistry in ways no filter can hide. Alcohol is like a simultaneous flood and drought for skin. It dilates blood vessels, which is why cheeks flush after a glass of wine, a temporary increase in blood flow. But repeated exposure causes vessels to rupture, creating permanent redness, spider veins, and imbalance in water retention. Alcohol also depletes electrolytes and vitamins, especially B and C, which are crucial for collagen production. As a result, skin becomes thinner, duller, and ages faster. Chronic alcohol use often gives the complexion a grayish, earthy tone, a sign that tissues are oxygen deprived and cells fight for every drop of water. Nicotine works differently but is no less destructive. Each puff signals blood vessels to constrict, limiting oxygen delivery. A smoker's skin is like a garden without rain. Over years it becomes dry, thin, and covered in micro wrinkles. Lack of oxygen and vitamin A slows regeneration, causing slower healing and persistent acne or discoloration. Tobacco smoke also increases free radicals, molecules that literally attack collagen and elastin. That's why the skin around smokers' eyes and lips wrinkles faster, forming the so-called smoker's lines. Interestingly, studies show that after quitting, skin microcirculation improves within a week, and in months, the skin appears younger, as if it finally breathed. Coffee is less straightforward. Caffeine itself does not harm the skin, and in small amounts may even help, improving circulation, constricting vessels, and reducing puffiness. Eye creams often include caffeine for this reason, but excessive consumption is problematic. Caffeine is diuretic, accelerating water loss. Dehydrated skin loses elasticity, and dark circles can appear. Coffee also increases cortisol, the stress hormone, which triggers sebum overproduction, inflammation, and acne. Some people metabolize caffeine slowly, so even 2 cups a day can overstimulate their system and affect skin appearance. This is not to demonize these substances. Moderate alcohol, occasional coffee, or a single cigarette will not destroy skin overnight. The problem arises when they become daily habits. Skin is not just a protective barrier. It is a living organ that senses, reacts, and remembers. Each glass, sleepless night, or excess stress inscribes itself into its structure like rings in a tree trunk. And although modern skincare can repair much, skin chronically exposed to harm never fully returns to its original state, like old parchment that can be smoothed but never renewed. Paradoxically, skin often sends early warning signals. Changes in color, texture, or hydration are not just aesthetic. They are messages from within. Dry, rough skin may not signal lack of cream, but whole-body dehydration. Acne may reflect chronic stress or hormonal imbalance. Skin communicates daily. One just needs to learn to listen. Stress, sleep deprivation, and emotions are some of skin's most underestimated enemies. Invisible and intangible, yet capable of radically altering our appearance. Skin is not only a shield against the world, it is a biological mirror of emotion, reacting to every brain impulse. It is intricately connected to the nervous and hormonal systems, forming the so-called brain-skin axis. That is why stress can make us flush, pale, or break out. Emotions literally imprint on the surface of our body. When we feel fear or anger, the brain releases cortisol and adrenaline, survival hormones. Short-term, they help us act, but prolonged levels begin to damage tissues. Cortisol breaks down collagen fibers that give skin firmness. It also reduces hyaluronic acid production, the skin's natural moisturizer. The result? A tired, thin, more sensitive face. Chronic stress accelerates aging, leading to inflammaging, a silent, chronic inflammatory state that persists in cells for years. People under constant stress often appear older, even if they eat well. Lack of sleep intensifies this process. During sleep, skin undergoes intense regeneration. Cells divide faster, blood flow increases, and daytime damage is repaired. Short sleep interrupts this process. Collagen production drops, blood vessels dilate, causing dark circles and puffiness. Stress hormones rise, triggering acne, flaking, and dryness. Studies show that even one sleepless night increases skin barrier permeability. Water escapes faster, and pollutants penetrate more easily. Emotions also influence microcirculation. Anger, fear, shame. Each triggers a distinct vascular pattern. A blush of embarrassment comes from sudden dilation of facial vessels, while fear triggers rapid constriction. These responses are evolutionarily ingrained, but in today's chronic stress world, they contribute to dermatological problems. Eczema, psoriasis, rosacea. These conditions flare under emotional tension. Skin, instead of protecting, begins to fight against its own body. Interestingly, skin can remember stress. Keratinocytes and fibroblasts have cortisol receptors that can learn its presence. In people under long-term tension, their activity changes, making the skin more reactive to stimuli, prone to redness, irritation, and allergies. Simply put, the longer we live in stress, the more our skin learns to feel it. But the reverse is true as well. Positive emotions genuinely improve skin appearance. Smiling and relaxation activate the parasympathetic system, signaling the body, now you can repair. Blood flow increases, cells regenerate faster, and the face gains a healthy glow. This is biology, not poetry, hence the term radiant lovers. Love and calm literally illuminate the face. Finally, it's worth mentioning a paradox of modern life. We live in a world where caring for the skin has become an obsession, yet at the same time, we destroy it through our lifestyle. Stress, rushing, screen light, lack of rest. These are everyday realities that no cream can mask. Skin does not only need a moisturizer, it requires balance across the whole body. This is why dermatologists increasingly collaborate with psychologists, knowing that healthy skin begins with a calm mind. Every scar is a story that the body has inscribed on its surface. Some are barely visible, others remain as marks for a lifetime. Although skin can regenerate, it never does so perfectly. That is why a cut, burn, or surgical wound never returns to its original state. Instead of perfectly restored tissue, a scar forms, proof that the body hurried to repair the damage to survive, but had no time to do so precisely. When skin is broken, the body immediately raises the alarm. Blood clots forming a barrier over the wound. Then fibroblasts, connective tissue cells, take over. Their task is simple: rebuild the damaged structure as quickly as possible. But in the rush, they do not recreate the delicate, multi-layered architecture of healthy skin. Instead, they form a dense, compact network of collagen fibers, acting like biological cement. This new tissue is stiffer, less elastic, and lacks pigment, melanocytes, which give skin its color. That is why most scars are lighter, sometimes even white. The absence of melanocytes also explains why scars do not tan. Even in the sun, they remain pale, as if they no longer belong to the body, but were its memory. Interestingly, the nervous system often bypasses these areas. Nerve endings may not fully regenerate, making a scar either less sensitive or, conversely, hypersensitive. That is why some scars pull, itch, or react to changes in temperature. A scar is evidence that the body chooses life over aesthetics. It is a survival strategy, quickly sealing a wound before bacteria can enter. In the pre-antibiotic world, this ability was vital. But in exchange for protection, we lose something precious: the perfect structure of skin. Under a microscope, the difference between healthy and scarred tissue is stark. Healthy skin resembles a soft web full of type I collagen and elastin. A scar is like a concrete wall made of type 3 collagen, strong but inflexible. Not all scars look the same. Some are thin and flat. Others, keloids, rise above the skin's surface, forming hard bumps. This is due to an excessive healing response, as if the body cannot stop repairing. In some people, often with darker skin tones, fibroblasts produce too much collagen, and the wound cannot switch off the repair process. Recent research into skin regeneration aims to trick this mechanism. Scientists at Stanford and Harvard have discovered that activating genes responsible for hair follicle and blood vessel development at the right moment can recreate tissue without a scar, almost like in the embryo. Practically, this means that one day, complete scarless healing may be possible. This is not science fiction. Studies are already underway on drugs that teach fibroblasts to behave like normal dermal cells. Interestingly, scars do not age like the rest of the skin. They do not produce sebum, respond differently to UV radiation, and their structure changes very slowly. In a way, they freeze time, but in a very unpoetic way. Still, in many cultures, scars have been, and sometimes still are, symbols of strength, courage, or initiation. In Africa or Oceania, deliberate skin cutting and leaving marks served as a form of language, a record of life history. Today, scars have new meanings. For surgeons, they are a challenge. For psychologists, an emotional map. For artists, a metaphor for human fragility. Every scar is thus a memory, not only of the wound, but of how the body fought to survive. And perhaps that is why, even when we try to hide them, they most fully testify to our existence. Skin is the largest organ of our body, and like every organ, it requires care to function properly. It is not just about appearance, but about the biochemistry of life happening on its surface. Caring for skin is caring for the barrier between the external world and the inside of our body. And contrary to advertising, skincare is not magic in a jar. It is understanding how our biology works. The foundation is water, both what we drink and what the skin retains. Our bodies are over 60% water, but with age, its amount in skin decreases. Epidermal cells need it to remain elastic and properly renew themselves. When the body is dehydrated, even the best cream cannot help. Skin becomes rough, dull, and more prone to wrinkles and micro cracks. Hydration must begin from within, with adequate water intake, a mineral-rich diet, and rest. But water easily escapes. Skin also needs a barrier to retain it. Lipids, natural fats produced by sebaceous glands, serve this role. They keep skin soft and smooth. The problem is that excessive washing, peeling, or harsh cosmetics destroy this layer. Skin then loses its ability to hold moisture, becoming dry and irritated. Paradoxically, the more we dry it, the more sebum it produces in defense. True cleansing is not a fight against oil, but restoring balance. The second pillar of protection is light, or rather, defense against excess light. UV radiation is a major factor in skin aging. It not only damages collagen fibers, but also harms cell DNA, leading to mutations. Skin defends itself by producing melanin, the pigment responsible for tanning. But this beautiful reaction is actually oxidative stress. Every tan is a micro-injury that accelerates aging. That is why sunscreens are more than cosmetics. They are a daily shield. Dermatologists often say the best anti-aging cream is SPF, used daily, even on cloudy days. Equally important is what we feed our skin from within. Omega-3 fatty acids, vitamins A, C, and E, and antioxidants support collagen production and protect cells from free radicals. Practically, this means more vegetables, fruits, and nuts, and less processed food. What we eat truly shows on our faces. Studies confirm that a diet high in simple sugars accelerates glycation, a process in which sugar molecules stiffen collagen proteins. That is why excess sweets make skin lose elasticity faster. Sleep is another often overlooked cosmetic. At night, skin not only rests but rebuilds its lipid barrier and produces new cells. Lack of sleep raises cortisol levels, which inhibits these processes. No mask can compensate for chronic fatigue. Beauty sleep is not metaphorical but literal biology. Finally, clothing. Skin is our interface with the world, but also a shield against it. Wearing natural fabrics that allow it to breathe and avoiding synthetics that trap moisture and heat matters more than we realize. Modern dermatology increasingly discusses trapped skin, constantly irritated by clothing, detergents, or even air-conditioned environments. And one more thing, touch. It may seem trivial, but massage and gentle contact improve circulation, stimulate lymph flow, and reduce stress. Skin is sensitive to emotion, and gentle physical contact works like the best balm. Ultimately, caring for skin is not a luxury, but a biological necessity. It is nurturing an organ that defends us daily, filters external influences, and allows us to feel. Skin, so obvious yet complex, reveals everything happening within us, even when we try to hide it. Skin is a boundary and a story between the outside world and our interior. It protects, breathes, feels, and remembers. On its surface are inscribed emotions, sun, touch, stress, and time. While we try to smooth it and hide imperfections, the truth of our life is hidden precisely in them. Skin is not merely a covering. It is the story our body tells the world every day.